Hi guys, I'm going to talk a little bit about gluten today, about what gluten is and who should be eating gluten and who shouldn't be eating gluten. It seems that gluten's kind of the buzzword lately, and I think it's important to know what we're eating and what we're putting into our bodies and why everybody's talking about the gluten-free diet. That little G and F has kind of showed up everywhere recently. It's on anything now that's associated as food. We're seeing it in our restaurants on all of our menus. We're seeing it on all the shelves in our grocery stores. We see it in our pantries and on all the snacks that we're eating. Gluten is becoming more popular. It's gaining more recognition, and there's a lot of people taking on the gluten-free diet. Statista, it's a top provider for consumer data. They reported that in 2014, 3.1 million people in the United States follow a gluten-free diet. And of those 3.1 million people, 72% are choosing to avoid gluten. So that 72% doesn't include those that have celiac disease or wheat allergens, or those that are undiagnosed celiac disease. These are just people choosing because they want, maybe to feel better or think that they have some kind of gluten sensitivity. These aren't people that necessarily have to be going gluten-free. So those with celiac disease, they kind of know all about gluten. They know that if they want to feel good and feel healthy, that they need to stay gluten-free. Also, those with a wheat allergen, they are another group of people that really should focus on the gluten-free diet so that they feel better. The 72% that just choose not to eat gluten, they're more of the group that self-diagnose themselves with a gluten sensitivity, or they're the ones that eliminate gluten in the elimination diet. So those diets like Whole30 and Paleo and the keto diet, that 72% is those people. And really, gluten sensitivity doesn't have any real scientific background at this point. There's no real condition, so doctors can't really diagnose someone with gluten sensitivity. Most of the time, people, when they cut out gluten, they self-diagnose themselves with that kind of sensitivity. But really, those with celiac disease and those with the wheat allergen are the ones that really need to avoid gluten. So gluten is a group of proteins, and the two most prominent proteins in gluten are gliadin and glutenin. And these proteins are found in our grains, so they're found in wheat, spelt, rye, and barley. And really, we're all eating these foods in our diet every day. And I think it's important to really know what gluten is and why everyone's talking about it. So gliadin and glutenin bind together to make the gluten protein, and glutenin is the guy that the intestine doesn't like. Those with celiac disease really try to attack glutenin when it's present. Glutenin is the guy that's responsible for the dough's strength and elasticity, and those with celiac disease don't like that in their intestine. They try to get it out of their digestive system. So I think now it's, those with celiac disease and a wheat allergy are the two main people that are really kind of required or really should follow a gluten-free diet. So celiac disease is a genetic and autoimmune disease, and it damages your intestines, and it interferes with the absorption of our nutrients from the food that we eat. It's only among 1% of us, so that's not very many. 1 in 133 will be diagnosed with celiac disease. But it's also important to know that celiac disease is commonly misdiagnosed, and 83% of people that have it are usually untreated or mistreated. So they're probably not, they're suffering. They're trying to figure out why they're not feeling well, and gluten's probably the cause of it. The only way to treat celiac disease is with a 100% gluten-free diet. There is nothing that will help celiac disease. There's no prescriptions, no medications that will help someone feel better that has celiac disease. And then those with a wheat allergy, they're also another small percentage of us, only 1%. And although gluten-free isn't a cure for a wheat allergen, it's going to really help them and benefit them to stay clear of it, to make sure that they're not getting any of that wheat in their diet. So the question, or the answer to why are we going gluten-free, why is everybody talking about it, and who really needs to be gluten-free, is that only 2% of us, those of us with celiac disease and those of us with a wheat allergy, really need to be gluten-free. And those other 72% out there in that data found from Statista, those are the ones on the elimination diets, those are our athletes, and those are the ones that have those big lifestyle changes that claim that gluten-free is what makes them feel better. And like I showed, there's really no proof or evidence that gluten is what makes all those other people feel bad. It's mostly just the idea of eliminating gluten. So when you eliminate gluten, you're eliminating all of that processed food. You're eliminating all those cakes and those brownies that you buy in the box at the grocery store. You're eliminating processed breads. And of course, all of those things are going to make you feel better. So athletes are saying, oh, I have all this energy. And, you know, these dieters are having improved skin and lost weight or weight loss and all of these good things, but there's no evidence to show that eliminating gluten is what makes them feel better. It's that lifestyle change, it's that diet, and just putting things in your body that helps you feel better. So that's a little bit about gluten. There's only 2% of us that need to eat it, and those other people, there's other ways to get those nutrients from the wheat other than gluten. So they're finding ways to feel better and have more energy and lose weight. I hope that you learned a little bit about gluten.